You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Co-host, Danny.
Fans, we got a full show for you today. NFL, a little NBA, a little college football, and a whole lot of this Mike Tyson fight. But Danny, right into the NFL, and where what else is new for 11 times in a row? Green Bay Packers goes ahead and beats up on the Chicago Bears 20-19. And I'll just say that, yes, the Bears played pretty good. Caleb Williams impressed, but didn't do enough to secure the win. Green Bay Packers blocked a field goal and prevails 20-19 in Chicago. Jordan Love throws for 261 yards, 13 for 17, one interception, one touchdown. That interception, ironically enough, was in the end zone, in the red zone. And so some improvements need to be made here by the Packers. But Josh Jacobs continues to run the ball, 18 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. Got to highlight DeAndre Swift for the Chicago Bears, 14 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. But the Packers goes ahead and win this game, man. And we move on to 7-3. I think some questionable clock management at the end of the game by the Chicago Bears. I kept wondering if they were going to call another timeout or basically run another play to get a little closer to the field goal, maybe even to go for a touchdown. They had some time on the clock. Coach decides to wind down the clock. I think it was like 30 some odd seconds that they had. And I thought at that point, run to the ball, rush to the ball, snap the ball, run another play. You could have ran another running play or something like that. I think the interim coach indicated could have fumbled the ball or, some could have, been detrimental to them scoring. Hey, man, you're playing outside Soldier Field on Lake Michigan.
Wind.
That wind, man. So I'm trying to get every single yard I can get at this point in time, man. Get me closer to the field goal, man. Nonetheless, man, kick got blocked and Packers prevail. Danny, what say you about this Chicago Bears Green Bay Packers game?
Tough L for Chicago, man. They had, a good defensive effort, and they more or less had the Packers, under wraps for the most part. Jordan Love had a good game, decent game. Christian Watson had 150 yards. He had a crazy catch. It was a game where, with the new OC, Caleb Williams looked a little different, a little more comfortable. I'll say looked more comfortable in the pocket and everything this week. But like you said, man, I just didn't understand what they were doing. And I know the wind was kind of going between like 15 to 25 miles. You just don't want to take that chance. Like you said, get as close as possible. You still could get blocked. But look at what happened last night with Cincinnati and the Chargers. Chargers are driving towards the end of the game. J.K. Dobbins breaks one, scores a touchdown. Who's to say Swift doesn't break one out and scores or something like that? You never know. And so to put your team in that position and for the result being a field goal block, that's a tough L for Chicago. But Packers go on ahead and win, and Chicago gets Detroit next.
And Danny, another game to highlight here, Baltimore-Pittsburgh game in where Pittsburgh prevails 18-16. I don't know what the hell the Ravens were doing, man. Towards the end of the game, really the fourth quarter, man, Derrick Henry didn't get a touch at all. Derrick Henry had 13 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. The last plays of the game, Derrick Henry is still on the sideline, and
Mm-hmm.
camera kept, going over to him like, and I was like, man, how come he's not in the game? I understand, Ravens were really at that point in time really playing fast, so
Mm-hmm.
that way, they were battling the clock. But man, towards the end there, that was a 2 point conversion. I'm like, you're not putting Derrick Henry in there? I just didn't understand this their whole personnel
Mm-hmm.
moves here. Lamar Jackson throws for 207 yards, a touchdown, an interception, a failed 2 point conversion attempt at the very end here. Didn't look like there were any wide receivers available or open in the end zone. Lamar, I think it was running play all the way, a design
Mm-hmm.
running play all the way. But man, I don't know what kind of play calling this was or what the personnel moves here were like, but something's got to change for Baltimore. They dropped down to 7-4. Pittsburgh goes to 8-2. Who ever thought that Pittsburgh Steelers would be in a driver's seat here, man? Russell Wilson throws for 205 yards, an interception, no touchdowns, but they grind it out. And that's the typical Pittsburgh Steelers type of game, man. Just grinding it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you got to watch out for Pittsburgh in the playoffs. I do. These grind them out type games where it doesn't matter who performs or how they perform, as long as the win is at the end of the zeros on the clock. That's all that matters for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And man, they're going to be a tough out, Danny. What say you about this Ravens Pittsburgh Steelers game?
Jay, this week, a lot of the preview shows were talking about how this may be like an offensive shootout because, with the Ravens defense struggling as it is and the Ravens offense playing as well as been playing. And I took a look back selfishly because I have the Steelers defense in fantasy football. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, do I start them this week against Baltimore? And you look back and all the games are either 16-13, 17-14, 20-17. So they're all it's those divisional games. And it's not usually those shootout type games because they know each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Steelers did not score a touchdown. This game looked very similar to when they played us, the Atlanta Falcons at the beginning of the season, where they just kicked field goals and relied on their defense. And their defense stepped up this week because last week against the Commanders, they looked a little shaky. So they came in. The Ravens offense has been lights out coming into this game, and they stepped up and stopped the Ravens. And the Derrick Henry thing, Jason, it's like they reverted back to the first 2 weeks of the season when they lost those two
Mm-hmm.
games. From a positioning standpoint in the AFC, the Chargers with their win last night, they're 7-3 and Baltimore 7-4. So the Ravens just got to watch us and lose too many more games from a playoff positioning perspective.
And Danny, on to another game to highlight here, and where the Buffalo Bills finally got one against the Kansas City Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
30-21, and where Josh Allen throws for 262 yards, a touchdown, an interception, but he also rushes for 55 yards, man, on 12 carries and a touchdown. An impressive run there that, put them over the top here. Patrick Mahomes throws for 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 196 yards, only 196 yards. This gives the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the season to Miami Dolphins, back from the perfect season Dolphins, pops of champagne, in particular Larry Zonka,
Mm-hmm.
which they do every year for those who, for the team, the last team to become defeated. And Danny, I just say this, man. Kansas City Chiefs, I think they got some issues, and one of them is the wide receiving core. I mean, they're just banged up in that position. DeAndre Hopkins, they traded for him, had 3 catches for 29 yards. Xavier Worthy, the rookie, continues to, impress. 61 yards, 4 catches for a touchdown. It's going to be interesting to see how the Kansas City Chiefs really look in the playoffs. I don't know. Travis Kelce only has 2 catches for 8 yards. And I'm really starting to wonder, is Kelsey's tank starting to become empty?
Mm-hmm.
Juju Smith-Schuster, 1 catch for 8 yards. And maybe this was just a down game, but nah. Chiefs have been having problems here, man.
Yep.
Chiefs defense has been playing excellent. It's just the offense that just hasn't, pulled it together. I believe that this victory by the Buffalo Bills are going to give them a lot of confidence going into the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills are 9-2, Danny, 5-0 at home.
Yep.
They are really smelling themselves right now. And I think the smell is something good.
Mm-hmm.
That smell of confidence. And we only got, 6, 7 more games in the season?
Yep.
And before you know it, man, the playoffs are going to be here, Danny. So what say you about this game?
It was 4th and 2, and that's where Josh Allen broke that run to score that the game sealing touchdown. I was curious, man, just thinking if they stopped them there, would the Chiefs would have won that game? Who knows? But it was a great run by Josh Allen to seal the game. And with the Chiefs, they also have Pacheco. Looks like he may be coming back soon. Pacheco broke his leg at the beginning of the season, so he might add some juice, if you want to call it that, to the team, because he's a high energy guy. He brings this like different type of toughness, man. You watch Pacheco when he runs aggressive and kind of hypes the guys up a little bit. So that may be something too. Not to say Kareem Hunt has been doing well, man. And Kareem Hunt, I think, still have a role going forward. But Pacheco may give them that extra gear they may need to go forward. And you can see, man, Rashee Rice, not having Rashee Rice is hurting them big time. Because some young legs, like you always mentioned, like with the Bucks, Rashee Rice here versus like a Smith Schuster or, DeAndre Hopkins, they're a little long in the tooth. But we'll see. They'll adjust, over the week and everything, but it was a tough L for them. But that's a tough place to play. Buffalo is always tough for them. Last year, you remember, Buffalo had them and blew it at the end. So it's always going to be close. But now it's about the positioning for that number 1 seed and who gets that home field advantage. That's going to be the battle now between these two teams in particular over the next few weeks.
And Danny, to your point, there's reports that Pacheco may be ready to return in week 12. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, man. That was a big injury for him to return that soon. Hey, give him a lot of kudos in the world.
I would, if I were them, man, I would hold them out at least another. They play the Panthers next week, man. If you can't beat the Panthers without Pacheco, buy him some more time, so he has really, he's fresher for the playoffs. You never can be totally fresh because you're taking a beating every week in the NFL, but maybe give him another week, because they play the Panthers. So we'll see what they do. If they just maybe get him in a couple series just to get him acclimated back on the field.
And then real quickly, another game, Chargers, Bengals. Chargers upends the Bengals 34-27, where Joe Burrow, I mean, he continues to impress, man. He's having probably one of the best seasons in his young career. 28 for 50, 356 yards, 3 touchdowns. T. Higgins continues to just dominate, 148 yards catching the ball 9 times for a touchdown. But the Chargers goes ahead and prevail, man, moving the Chargers to 7-3, where it has been a total cultural change for the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 17 for 36, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And J.K. Dobbins, man, 11 carries, 56 yards for 2 touchdowns in a huge run at the end there. I would say that this may really start to be kind of a closing of the door for Cincinnati Bengals in terms of a playoff run. 4-7. Don't know how much they would really be a factor here in the playoff run, especially with their schedule that is upcoming here. Yeah, this might be it for the Bengals, Danny. What say you about this game?
Jay, this was a good game, man. I stayed and watched the whole thing, and within the last 2 minutes, it was tied. And in the fourth quarter, the Bengals kicker missed two. McPherson missed two field goals, uh, which could have changed the outcome of the game. And within the last 2 minutes, the ball changed hands, changed possession, four times. So great game. Like I mentioned earlier, Dobbins had the touchdown to seal it, but the Bengals had multiple opportunities to win this game, and their defense fell short. The Bengals were down 21 in this game at one point, and they battled all the way back, had the momentum. McPherson comes in, misses a field goal, misses another field goal, and then they lose. So tough L for the Bengals. Their offense is awesome to watch. Included in that is also Chase Brown, the running back, who's electric to watch as well. But Chargers get the W, and we were talking about the Ravens and Chargers, Ravens next Monday night. That's going to be a one to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh brothers going at it.
Harbaugh ball. And then your Falcons, man. What say you about your Falcons?
Jay, we're going to keep this quick. I was going to come on here with a brown paper bag on my head after that despicable display of of whatever that was yesterday against the Broncos. Broncos win 38-6. Falcons, 2 field goals. Kirk Cousins did not have a great game. No one had a great game. Mooney got hurt, so I'm hoping it's something that's not is short term. They do have a bye this week. Kyle Pitts had a catch. Bijan, 30-something yards rushing. Bo Nix had 4 touchdowns. And this game was just hard to gauge before the game happened as far as predicting it because you just didn't know. The Broncos defense has been playing well. And after that bad loss last week we had against the Saints, you just didn't know what kind of mindset the team was coming in with. And this was a terrible loss. So that drops us to 6-5. And like I said, we have a bye week, and they need it. So I don't know, man. That was terrible. I'm not going to spend too much time, waste my breath on that, what that was yesterday, but that was garbage. So they better get it together over this bye and hopefully come back with some renewed interest and confidence going into the home stretch because they do play the Chargers coming out the bye.
And Danny, on to Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. We both watched this fight. 60 to 65 million people watched this fight. It was on Netflix. Netflix's first time doing a live sporting event, especially boxing here. And I would say the graphics were good. You know, there was some issues with the mics in terms of some interviews in particular. I think Jerry Jones and then Vander Holyfield's mics just weren't working. They showed Mike Tyson. They showed Mike Tyson's ass in the locker room, man. I mean, come on, man. What in the world is happening, man? I think, you know, Netflix can build upon this. They're going to have more servers to take hold of the demand of viewership. But there's an estimated report that I think Tyson received $20 million or something like that. I think Jake Paul maybe 40 or something like that. Either way, man, I don't know how much exactly, but I did hear about Tyson being 20. And I thought it was just going to be more activity, more punches thrown by Tyson. But then again, he's 58 years old, man. And it's different doing videos while you working out and nobody punching back against you. It's a little different. But come on, man. I think this was just one of those money grabs. And pure capitalism at its finest. Supply and demand. Can I get that time back? No. Something I think Netflix is going to build upon, and I can see this being something happening moving forward. What say you, Danny?
Netflix, man, I thought for sure their stock was going down today after that debacle on Friday night. Man. Um, and so they do have the Christmas games, NFL,
Something like
right?
that, yeah.
So that's another thing where they have about a month to get it right to handle streaming, because think about it, if they ever want to go, not just Netflix in particular, but a streaming service for like the Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowl, and it wasn't on like a CBS or
Mm-hmm.
Fox or NBC, and something like that happened, what happened on Friday night, that's bad business. That's something to be cognizant of just in general. But from the fights perspective, man, it was cool to see Mike walk out again. I ain't gonna front.
Mm-hmm.
You just had that feeling of back in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
when it was his prime time, where, we were growing up watching him, he'd go in for a few minutes and knock somebody out and then walk out. It had that vibe to it. He was in great shape, being 58 years old and everything. But yeah, like you said, Jay, when you get hit in the ribs and the head, some training videos, hey, that slows down your speed. 'Cause I heard a couple people talking about, well, I saw him in the videos doing this. That's a different ball game when you're in the ring. You
Yeah.
get hit.
And plus he had a knee brace on too.
Yeah. And he wasn't moving well at all.
He looked 58.
Yeah. And for him to even be out there was amazing. 'Cause I know too, after the fight, he mentioned about, like some life altering things that happened earlier in the summer that
Mm-hmm.
he thought he could have died. So for him to turn around in a couple months and be out there participating was interesting. Yeah, it was, you had to wait all night. I mean, it didn't kick off until like after 11 Central Standard. I'm like, come on, man. The undercard was actually way better than the actual fight. The women's
Yeah,
fight was
agreed.
actually really good.
Yeah, agreed
Um,
there.
so yeah, it was great to see Mike out there. It was more of a nostalgic moment for me personally. Like I said, from him walking to the ring, what happened in the ring, it is what it is. And glad that nothing happened health wise during the fight. Whatever everyone can say about Jake Paul, he is a great marketer. And, he got eyes to the TV screen for this fight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
curious what happens, with him going forward. But the fight was what it was. And I'm just glad Mike made it out alive.
Yep, agreed there. Real quickly, Danny, on to college football and where Wisconsin misses the opportunity to upset Oregon in Wisconsin. Oregon escaped 16-13. Fourth quarter says it, in my opinion. After the game, Wisconsin fires their offensive coordinator. A good opportunity to pull off the upset, but didn't take advantage of it, Danny. Another game of interest here, Georgia against Tennessee. 31-17, Georgia prevails and puts them a little bit puts them a bit more into the college football playoff conversation. And Georgia needed this game, Danny, in order to be put back into playoff contention. So those, to me, were the biggest games, man. Colorado continues to impress us, 49-24 over Utah. Travis Hunter does his thing, man. Stuart Sanders throws for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. Travis Hunter continues to strike the Heisman pose, man. We'll see what happens in the Heisman race. Colorado continues to win, man. They may be in this playoff push in college football, man. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.